Hi everyone, welcome back to Love Kind Good. I'm Josh, and I post these videos weekly, usually about like thoughts that I'm having, things that come up during the week. Last week I talked about the full moon release, the some of the things that I had done over that period of time, and like. I kind of debated on what to do for this video because there was a lot that was released during that full moon, um, and I was going back through my journal, which is right here, and like on Monday, I was like, actually the opening line says like, this magic that started last week during the full moon, it feels like life is aligning for everything that has been manifested. And that feeling has been persistent this entire week. And there's just been this like feeling of like like tying up loose ends, closure, like wrap things up and prepare to move to something different. And let's see. So some of the things that happened this week was me and my good friend Rachel, my best friend Rachel, we had a day date, and we walked, and as we were walking, we like manifested like what we want our life to look like in the future. And that was so powerful because we got into like where do we see ourselves, how do we feel, what does our day look like, who is around us, what do partners look like. It was intense. We walked 6 miles that day, and we had a yes day. We were just like, do you want to do this? Yes, let's do that. And that was just so powerful. And so carrying that full moon energy into this week, we had the spring equinox on Thursday, which is kind of like a rebirth, and so I had this massive release on during the full moon. Then I had this equinox, and then there was March 21st, which is 321, which is almost like a recognition, a want, and then a rebirth in of itself. Plus next week is a partial lunar eclipse. And so the energy of this period of time is just so magnificent. I joked in last week's video that I was coming out of the woo-woo closet, and I don't often like talk about like my passion for the energy of the universe, and I think what it came down to was that I was afraid of what people might think or say, or their opinion of me. And during this full moon, I released that judgment from others upon myself, the judgment from others. From that, it's almost like I regained my power, like my authority. I realized like, this is my fucking life. Like no one else gets to live my life. They don't have to understand what it is that I want to do. And so it feels powerful. Obviously it is scary. Some of the things that I am manifesting or wanting to do are not things that are easy. I'm not ready to actually talk about those just yet, just because of circumstances in my life right now. But I feel like I know that there are big changes coming, and I'll be excited to share those with you at that point in the future. But it's March 22nd today. And so, but what I actually wanted to talk about was this, like closing out last year. The spring equinox is really the ending of a zodiac year. And so Thursday started a new year. And so it felt necessary to, sorry, allergies here in North Carolina or something right now. Everything's yellow with pollen, but so something happened during that full moon that released, and as a result, something was, I just had this like feeling that there was something that needed to be wrapped up. And I've been working with a therapist. Many of you know that I meet with my therapist every other week, and it's via Zoom. He's in Mexico, and so I'm just gonna say it. So I went through a divorce last year, and I've been processing that separation, that the ending of that relationship. And I've talked about it on here that, my ex, Jeff, he like let me go peacefully. It was a very smooth transition. But I don't know. I've been working with my therapist, and I don't think I fully processed the gravity of it. I think I was in this, when I started the process, I was like, oh, I'm going to do this from a place of love and gentleness and kindness. And I did. And it was beautiful. And I don't want to say that I was kidding myself or that I didn't fully process or that the work I had done wasn't complete work. But a couple months ago, when I decided to come back to Charlotte at the end of December, I knew that there was still some more work to do. And I'd been working with him, and he suggested that I needed to do a closure letter written to Jeff. And I wouldn't be sending this letter. It would mostly be for me. And there may be a letter down the road, but this was a practice or a technique to help me heal. Because I've been working on myself. I have been on this journey, and I have done freaking like a lot of work, and it's helped me get into this clearer space and to help me stand up for myself, step into my power, find out what it is that Josh wants. How does he want his future relationships to look like? And just, what does that look like for me? And so every time I thought about writing this letter, and I say this because I have it right here. Every time I thought about writing the letter, I just kind of got frozen with like fear, confusion. I don't know what exactly it was, but I just couldn't make that leap to sit down and put pen to paper. And so every time I started thinking about it, I was just like, oh, I want to do this from a place of love, and I wanted it to be love, and I just couldn't figure out how to begin. I know like dear, and then right, but I just couldn't do it. I just was stuck with fear. Many of you know I was going on that camping trip a few weeks ago that I ended up getting the flu and couldn't go. But my intention was to sit down and write that letter while I was out in the woods. And so it's been on my mind for a while is the point of that. And yesterday, with it being 3/2/1, March 21st, and the beginning of spring and rebirth, and it just felt like I was carrying this baggage from last year into a new year, and I didn't want to do that anymore. And so yesterday I was driving and I was thinking about it, and like this overwhelming, like powerful, like feeling of anger, like I was just mad. I was pissed off that that the relationship ended. I was mad that we so many of you know we moved to Mexico, and that's kind of where our relationship kind of ended, was down in Mexico. And I was struggling in Mexico, not like with living there, but just adjusting. There were other aspects of our lives that had changed as well, not just physically moving to Mexico, but also some dynamics within our relationship had changed. And we had set these agreements in place before we left the U.S. for Mexico that if either one of us was struggling or just wanted a break, wanted to get out, like we would do that. And I began to struggle. And as I was struggling, I no longer had his support, and that was the part that hurt. It felt like that trust and that bond had been broken, and I didn't feel like I had someone that I can rely on and lean on, and so I went to this really dark place, and it was so dark that it was either I end it or I end the relationship. And I'm so glad that I chose myself, because in that moment I was just like, I need to peel back everything from my life, everything that I thought was my life, and get back to the core of who Josh is. And that is the meat of what I've been working on over these past few months. I think it's 8 or 9 months now. So that has been my main goal and my main purpose over these last few months, and I've gone through all my phases, seeking relationships to fill that loneliness, or sex or whatever. And, those things, although I had fun, they didn't satisfy the internal loneliness that I was working towards. And so I'm not going to read the letter, obviously, to you. But so I had this frustration, and yesterday, and I called one of my friends, and I was telling her, I was like, she knows that I need to write this letter. And so I told her, I was like, I'm needing to write this letter, but every time I think about writing it, I was just like, I'm so freaking mad, angry, and I didn't want to write that kind of letter. I wanted it to be the love kind, natured letter that I have been treating this divorce as. And she reminded me that just writing this letter is for me, it's not for him. So she's like, cuss it out, whatever, be angry in the letter, whatever you got to do. So, and I knew that because yesterday is like a rebirth and all that I wanted to get it done. And so I sat down last night, it was late last night, and I wrote this letter. And the beginning is I've been wanting to write this letter for some time now, but I haven't known how to start it. Every time I begin to think about it, I want it to sound loving and kind. The only issue is I get angry, and I didn't think I was angry, but I think I was fooling myself. I vacillate between being mad at you, myself, and us. And so, and then I kind of go into, why am I mad at myself? Why am I mad at you? And why am I mad at the us? And the us is because we had these agreements and they weren't strong enough. And I thought, it kind of felt like we broke it, and we did. It did end it. But then towards the end, after I got all that out, I still love him. I'm just not in love with him. And I still trust him with all my being. So he knows my deathbed wishes, and he knows to take care of my mother and that kind of thing. And I fully trust that he will uphold those bonds. And then as I was writing, I was like, I ended it with, there was some stuff. And so I'll kind of read this. So in the end, I suppose I am writing this from a place of love, as I had intended. I truly wish you all the joy that I have come to realize still exists in this world. Thank you for releasing me with ease, even though I know it wasn't easy. And as I finished that letter out, like, God, I'm getting emotional just thinking about it, because it felt like such a powerful release of emotions in that moment. To know that all the freaking work, sorry, all the freaking work that I've done over these last few months, like, was preparing me for that moment, and just writing out how I was feeling, including the anger, was just so powerful. So, I have released so much over the last week, and now I have released this, this one part. I'm meeting with my therapist on Wednesday, so I'm sure we'll unload this. And I'm also having some friends over Sunday night, tomorrow night. We're gonna have a cacao ceremony and a bonfire, and I think I'm gonna burn this letter, because it was for me, and I realize that now. I just hadn't been ready to release it. But now, so I did that release, and I am heading into this new chapter of my life, this new energetic year, free, clear, and ready to embrace this next stage. And I'm really excited for what's coming down the line, and I can't wait to share it with you. And I can't wait to continue to share, the stuff that comes up. I've actually gotten to this point where I'm enjoying, like, during the week now, I think, like, what's coming up that's powerful and impactful that I want to share with the world. I am naturally a guarded person, so opening up about these more intimate details of my life is a tremendous step towards vulnerability, and trust that the world is still kind, and that these experiences and these thoughts and these lessons that I've been learning can help someone else. Not everyone's going to resonate with every single thing that I go through. But my hope is that by sharing this, we can develop a community of healing. And as we move towards this greater sense of sharing, that we grow together. And so my hope is that you will begin to share your experiences in the comments if something in this video resonated with you. So that's part of my manifestation that I'm putting out to the YouTube verse. And so come and join me, and let's just see where we go. We're no longer walking this road from a place of fear, but we are stepping into some power that is going to take us to new experiences and new healing. So come and join me. And thanks for watching, you guys. Have a good day.